Me.
Hi, you're watching the raw, unedited version of Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you wish to listen to the final
you gonna throw it
version
yeah.
of our,
So let's go now.
are we?
Sorry, Mary. Yeah. So you hit start on the video, and then he has to hit start on our audio.
Well, I did hit it.
Yes, you
Was I
did.
supposed to indicate that it was rolling?
Yeah, just so he knows to go.
Oh, it's going.
We're good.
All right. All right, I'll go ahead with my little bit then. You're watching the raw, unedited version of Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you wish to listen to the final version of the show, please go to our website, smlr.us.
All right. And this is episode 179.
New digs.
New digs, that's right. This is Tony Bemis.
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
And Mary, explain to us the name.
Well, we are sitting in Detroit Sound Studios.
Podcast Detroit.
That's right. And we are thrilled to be here. It feels so official because it has all this foam on the walls. It just feels so official. It looks great too.
That's right.
So it's really, well, in my opinion, I'm sure you both will agree, it's going to be, an upgrade as far as sound quality, and those kind of technical aspects of the show. So we're really excited to be here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we'd like to thank the guys over at Podcast Detroit for letting us come on in
and waking up early and accommodating us, which we know is difficult.
Yeah, I just went to bed about 4.5 hours ago, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But glad to have you guys here.
Yeah, so that's Dave, and so we'd like to say thanks again.
Yep. Awesome.
And yeah. So Mary, so what did you do the last couple of weeks?
What did they do? Well, I finally figured out my Linux printing problem. And I'm actually using an HP printer, so it's probably surprising you to hear that I have an HP printing problem. But the problem is how the printer was named, because it's a color laser jet, and apparently, even though it's a color laser jet, and there's a whole section in the Linux printing tool that HP has. It's not listed under the color laser jet section. It's listed in a completely different section. So what I was always doing is picking the closest one. And so what would happen is, because the driver wasn't exactly the same, it was printing gobbledygook. And so I'd end up printing to my other printer, which was printing, just fine. And so finally I went in and decided to do some troubleshooting, because it shouldn't be that way. That's when I discovered that it's not listed under color laser jet. It's listed under laser jet color. And it's way, way, way down on the list. And so once I did that and then applied that change, bingo, I'm printing like a champ on that printer.
I've always liked some of the Dell printers, the fact that they actually offer the Linux drivers with it. And I believe some of the Mac drivers will work with there. But yeah, Dell on their website has that. I don't know that all the HPs do, maybe some of their business class ones, but Ubuntu has great support for it, because we run a bunch of desktops at the office and we have no problems with HP printers. So.
Oh yeah, and I just don't have trouble usually printing. It's just with that printer. And the other factor with that printer is that, unlike my other LaserJet, which is just a black and white LaserJet, which is directly attached to my PC, this one is on the network, so it's got that little extra step. But anyway, it's great now, because once I figured that out, it wasn't a communication issue. It was really just the driver. Well, I guess that is kind of a communication issue. But anyway, so that's what I did. I and a couple of my neighbors are contemplating setting up a honeypot for a package thief who, as I mentioned to you guys before we started recording, my porch was featured as part of a live broadcast of a package thief that hit my neighbor, and I think it was Wednesday. And so I and a couple of other people have talked about some ways that we could do it. I thought, I'll get a cheap phone subscription and just put the tracking thing in a package and then monitor it There are a couple of other methods, so we're kind of putting our heads together to figure out a good approach on that. So that's the other thing I did. And I think there was something else, but I can't remember it right now. So I'll come back to it later. But anyway, so that's me. How about you, Tony?
My last couple weeks is I finally got a full explanation of what my professor wants to do for the GA research that we're working on.
Okay.
And his overall goal is to try to build a system where you can, it's like a early warning system for DDoS attacks. And what it would be is that there's a distributed computer system that we have access to, where we can get, we have access to PCs all over the globe. And if we can try to monitor the internet from those locations, and then based on response times, we can tell where we can build out heat maps and stuff. And, so it looks pretty interesting. I was looking at a couple tools to try to build out a bash script. I'm not sure whether bash is really going to be a good solution for this or not. So it's just some research we're starting to looking at it.
Are you going to post it like on GitHub?
I'm thinking so, although he's the head on it, so I've got to just double check if he wants to do something like that.
I know a few people that may want to contribute. So if you have a GitHub, the guys over at Wayne State are always interested in some of that stuff.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I should talk to them because they probably already have a system on this. It's called the Planet Lab.
Okay.
And it's mainly universities, and there's a few corporations. And basically, the university will dedicate 2 or 3 servers, and they're Red Hat or Fedora servers. And then everybody that has access to the overall system can create these slices. And then you have a slice on every single computer throughout the globe, pretty much. Not every computer within the system, the Planet Lab. So it looks really interesting. So really
And that's also that's security related, isn't it?
yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll revisit the whole security thing. I think on our next episode.
Yeah, all right. That's right. So Tom, how about you?
Oh, just a couple things. We've been talking about doing it. We finally sat down and did it. We put together, me and my friend put together a comedy routine idea where we called it the Detroit Yodeling Company. There's no reason for the name. It was just we were drinking in a bar.
Because you can't yodel.
We can't yodel.
I saw the video you posted about the hot, what was it? Hot chicken wings or?
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of eating contests.
Okay.
That's a whole nother, we did some food challenges, unrelated to Detroit Yodeling. This is just personal stuff we did to see if we can there's an undefeated food challenge at a local restaurant. Now, it's good. I won't lie though, the food's not that good. Like it's a good challenge. It's really, really hot food if you can finish it, but the food's the chili just doesn't taste good.
Okay.
So that's like, you have the problem of it's kind of gross and it's really hot. But we've been making what we call weaponized Thai food. So the local Thai place is taking a challenge to find something we won't eat. So we have been making it hotter and hotter, doing some of those videos too.
Wow.
Oh, it's been rough.
That kind of comes back to haunt you though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
We won't go into
We
detail.
won't go into details, but the next day is a rough day at work.
Oh.
It even tastes good the second day though, too. We'll have some leftovers and it gets hotter.
I hope you clarify that.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so with the Detroit Yodeling, we're putting together some skits for that. That's just some fun stuff we're putting on YouTube. We're working out some video ideas. So it's just moving forward.
And speaking of skits, I just wanted to quickly mention too, I did go to the Oscar-nominated animated shorts at the Detroit Institute of Arts, actually the Detroit Film Theater. I really love going to those things because if those are all the cartoons, animated little movies that are going to be up for an Oscar, and there's some pretty creative people out there.
Very. I was talking to someone, and I don't know if this is going to be, I don't know where the interest, they seemed interested, some of the people that were involved, but I don't know if there's going to be a bigger interest. It was speaking at some film festivals about open source editing. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that. The latest version of Caden Live, which I finally got around to loading, I'm really happy with it.
How's that working?
Very nice. Lots of bug fixes. They still, and I got to play with it some more. Someone says I have to recompile to fix this. There's kind of a bug in Caden Live. If you want a persistent title, let's say a watermark to go all the way across the video, it renders only on one processor, and I have 8 processors. But if I take that out, it renders on all 8 processors.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
There's a couple people that have bug reports for it, and apparently it's actually not a Kden Live problem.
Now,
It's
when you
an
say a
MLT
title,
problem.
you're not talking about a scrolling thing at the
No.
bottom. You're just talking about a title that spans the bottom of the video.
If you have any overlaid title, so I have all the video, and let's say I can render the video, let's say it takes 8 minutes to render the video. It's just a series of clips cut up and processed. Even if I add effects to them, no big deal. But if I take a title clip, which is like words that I overlay on top of it, let's say like if I put the words Detroit Yodeling Company and just overlaid it for the entire length of the video, it drops down to a single thread processing. And it only occupies one CPU.
So what would normally take 5 minutes takes an hour?
It ends up taking an hour. And all you have to do is delete that and hit render again. And that's the only change you're making. And you'll see it pin all 8 processors and render.
Well, maybe what you should do is render the thing without it and then come back and lay it on there and then render it again.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
the solution we're looking at is a command
And
line
it's
one.
not, I think there's a bug, you're right, it sounds like there's a bug there that needs to be fixed, but I mean, that may be a workaround.
Yeah, it's a bug. If I'm not mistaken, if I read through the reporting right, it's a bug related to the fact that I think they're using the MLT library to do it, and it can only render text over stuff in single processor.
Okay.
So
that
it's
makes sense.
yeah, it's not like it's Kden Live's fault. Other programs have the same fault if they use it the same way. So, but I'm kind of researching. Someone said there's a way to compile and make that work properly. Either way, the new version is much less buggy. They really did, like we announced in 2 shows ago or 3 shows ago, that they cleaned it up with the new version. So, yeah, they definitely did a good job.
All right.
Good to hear, good to hear.
And with me being challenged on some of the editing work because we'd shot some green screen stuff and I had to figure out how to really make it look right.
I saw your green screen shot. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but you wear that Android t-shirt, and of course the Android, he was chroma
He
keyed
was
right
chroma
out
keyed
there.
right out there. Yeah, it really wasn't
It
on
was pretty
purpose.
cool though overall, just
Yeah.
to see that.
It was a coincidence because I didn't come in with the intention of doing it. It's like I got all my projects done and I hit a wall at one of them. In case anyone's listening that's ever registered a domain through Vistaprint, I'm sorry. Vistaprint doesn't register domains in the normal way. They make you buy the domain back. You're agreeing that they are buying the domain on your behalf and they retain rights and ownership. So a transfer I was trying to do for a client actually got thwarted by that.
Oh my.
They can't get the transfer done.
So do they charge extra then?
They come up with a price for you to buy the domain back from them.
Oh, geez.
It's
Is
not
it
set.
reasonable?
So we don't know because they
Even if
don't
it's like
tell you.
$5 over, because,
Well, yeah.
I mean, there may be some, see, here's the thing, there may be some advantage, there may be instances where that's an advantage, because if you've got somebody who doesn't pay attention to expirations and that kind of thing, having that done and automatically added to a bill is an advantage.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, a savvy user will want to have control of it from the get-go, and I can see how that would not be a good thing.
yeah. So it's definitely a problem for the client, and it's causing us. We're trying to get it transferred so we can set up Google hosted apps for them and everything else. So it's kind of like a big. We have all the apps set up, but we can't transfer the domain to get everything activated. So then I end up with all kinds of free time.
Right.
So we play with the green screen.
Yeah, you know what? I manage a few websites for some people, and I run it the same way where I register under my name.
Yeah.
Or I register under their name, but it's on my account, registration account.
Right.
But I make it clear to them that anytime they want it, I'll just transfer it out to wherever they say to go. That, I'm not going to hold them up for it or anything.
Yeah.
Hold them up. It's a stick up.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me $100.
And based on forums, it's anywhere between $100 to $200 to buy the domain back. It seems to vary. There's not a consistent
Ooh,
price they
that's
give.
a lot.
Yeah, they don't give you. There's not much feedback for it. It's very vague, which is really annoying. So
It's a revenue stream.
it's a revenue stream.
Right.
Yeah. So don't buy your domain through Vistaprint. Use like hover.com is what I prefer.
Yeah. Oh, I like one-on-one myself.
One and one's not a bad company.
I use Namecheap, and what's nice with Namecheap is that you can run
The
dynamic
names are
DNS.
cheap.
Yeah.
It
The names
actually
are
is pretty
cheap.
cheap. But you can run dynamic DNS off of it also.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
So-
that Dime DNS, right?
It's
.com?
similar to Dyn DNS, right?
Okay.
But it's through Namecheap. So I can use the
Oh.
domains I already pay for and throw on a subdomain for.
Let's see if my provider does that. I remember
Yeah.
using that for a while because I think I had some storage or a server that I needed to have access to, and I didn't want to have the IP address changing every time I tried to get to it. Or
Right, and that's what the same thing
Different.
with us, or or when I did use 1 for a while, I couldn't see it, but that was
Mhm.
6-7 years ago. So
Yeah,
I don't know
might
if
have
it needs change.
They've really changed, their dashboard interface has changed quite a bit. I mean,
Alright.
for the better.
Nice.
So. All right, well, Tom, wow.
That's-
I gotta go take a look at Caden Live. I've just not really been working with it.
I
I've
tell
got
you
a
what,
little
I-
green screen thing set up in my basement.
Oh, it's easy. They,
Well,
there's,
actually, it's just material tacked to a wall, just to be clear.
and when you go out there and if you look up Detroit Oil and you'll see the latest video we processed, everything's processed in Caden Live. And part of it is we did even color grading, denoising. We shot a scene, a skit we wrote in a bar. And so we shot all of it there. 2 cameras blended together, single audio. I mean, it's really nice.
Wow.
My friend, he went to school for media productions. That's the writing on it, but I'm doing the editing. He's not really ready for that. He said, but he learned on the Adobe suites, and he says,
Okay.
"Wow." He says, "That's all free." That's what he kept saying. So that's free. It does all that. I don't have to pay for it.
Well, tell them to donate to the project.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh. All right.
All right. So I guess we're going on to
Well, did you tell us what you did? Oh, you did
I
you
did.
already?
Plant
Where was-
lab.
where was
professor
I?
stuff.
We're out of order because we're sitting in different positions.
Yeah. Yeah, those of you who just listen to the podcast, think, as you heard from the intro, things have changed, and now Tom's in the middle. I'm where Tony used to sit.
Right.
Tom is where I used to sit, and Tony is where Tom used to sit. So,
Yeah. And it's all the placement of the soundboard.
yeah.
Now the soundboard's over on the side over here.
Actually, what we should do is sit. Well,
Yeah, we
we're
can
not
sit at the
gonna.
other end.
We won't bore the audience with our listeners with
Right.
our
But it's-
logistic issues.
Yeah, this is it's a pretty nice setup. Better mics, better mixer. Just the room in general. There's
Better
soundproofing.
pizza.
There's-
John's. No.
Right, and there's a kegerator available to us. If
There's
we
a
want.
kegerator.
It's a little
Yeah,
early
8
in the
o'clock.
morning.
8 o'clock Sunday
Yeah.
morning.
Sunday morning Linux beer review.
Hey.
They do have a ring for beer bell in the middle of the table, which I really like that.
Ooh.
All right. Well, we won't.
Although unfortunately, because we're so early, there's nobody else here to respond to that bell.
That's true. No one else is hanging out in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, all right.
All right. So I guess we're going on to listener feedback.
We want to hear from you. Call 734-258-7009 or email show@smlr.us with your feedback and questions.
All right. So what did we have this past few weeks?
Well, we had an indignant email about FAA versus FCC.
All right.
And well, here let me before
And rightfully so, though.
They're
rightfully
right.
so. And what's horrible about it is I used to work for the FAA. I was the air traffic controller for a few years, and I should have known, but I didn't realize.
You're never as wrong as you are as when you're wrong on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
They will all let you know.
Yes, and and actually, I mean, it was we do appreciate that feedback because we don't want to be wrong.
No, we want to be correct.
We don't want to be wrong. But we were.
But it's one of those 3-letter agencies that begin with an F.
Yes, because he said, actually, it was one of our listeners, Wes, he said, in at least 2 episodes, you've referred to the FCC regulating drones. Drones fly, so they come under the authority of the FAA, not the FCC. Arr. And then that wasn't a pirate R either. That was a frustrated R. And he said, I'm an FAA, not FCC licensed pilot. So we want to just say mea culpa, and we'll make sure we get that right next time.
Yeah.
It is, again, I should.
And I have
should
no
thought about
drone
that.
news or FAA or FCC news, so.
Well,
I think
Yeah, we should be
So-
safe for this
so we
episode.
should,
good.
we shouldn't get in trouble today.
I won't get them mixed up.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, so there was that bit. And then I think we had something else too.
Brad? Brad Alexander sent us a book suggestion.
Oh, yes.
Although he says it's not a CME, but rather an EMP. The details are not discussed other than how it affects the story. I don't know did we talk about this in the past, or I'm not sure. Did I tune out for a second while you guys were talking about CMEs or EMPs?
Oh, I think it was in reference to,
Taking down the drones.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it was in reference to a comment I made about coronal mass ejection, CME.
Oh, okay.
And in reality, I think his comment. I mean, he's right. It's a EMPs. I mean, it doesn't even have to come from the sun. It can come from Earth.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so that's what it was about, Tony.
Okay.
It may have been in that
Yeah.
conversation.
And maybe this was part of the conversation previously, but they are making drone killer,
Yes,
which is an EMP gun.
Mhm.
It's pretty neat.
You know, it's a focused shot, I guess, that can take the drone out of the
Wonder
sky.
if the FCC is going to have a problem with that.
well,
FAA.
no, FCC.
Oh, they would.
This would be an FCC issue because you're disrupting radio waves, which is illegal.
Mm.
That's the same like the cell phone
yeah.
jammers are
Yeah,
illegal.
I'm
So
just-
now the FCC could be involved in the drones because of the people taking out the drones.
There's our connection.
There's your connection.
But to err on the safe side, we should say the government.
Yeah.
The government. And there are three-letter agencies making everybody's day
Yeah,
bad.
that's right. Okay. We also had something from Will. And he had a comment about my review of Solus OS. I believe it was back on episode 175. I'm saying that because he very nicely included that in the email.
All right.
It said, nice review of Solus. Here's a little background on some points where it seemed like you were unsure about things. That happens frequently. I think he says here, I think the legal issues Solus had were regarding the name Evolve OS, not Solus OS. Someone had the rights to Evolve without the OS and thought that Evolve OS was too close to their product. So Solus OS was the product Ike started and abandoned before Solus. Evolve OS was the project Ike started after Solus was abandoned. He had to change the name from Evolve OS and went back to Solus, but called it just Solus to distinguish it from the previous Solus OS project. So
All right.
I think I got that one figured out. And then he also said, he goes on to say, I'm not sure what role Ike had in Cinnamon's development, but Cinnamon is maintained by the Linux Mint team, and Ike was a full-time member of the team at one time. So there may be, because remember I was commenting on how it reminded me of Cinnamon, your Cinnamon system, the way the menu was laid out.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of had that look to it.
Mhm.
And so that was what it was in reference to. And then Budgie, because it uses the Budgie desktop. And
Right.
we've had we've had more responses about Budgie.
Yes.
than Budgie Area. I hope I said that right. Someone will let us know.
Yeah, I think Brian emailed us about
Yeah.
Budgie.
And
Yes.
he said Budgie uses, well, and this is just the last thing Will said. He said Budgie uses GTK3, which GNOME and Cinnamon also use. As far as I know, it is the only desktop environment other than GNOME written for GTK3, not counting the forks of GNOME like Cinnamon. So anyway, but thanks, Will, for that information. I'm a smarter person now because of it, and I need that seriously. So
Yeah.
that was good.
And do we want to bring up what a listener, Brian, sent us?
Yeah, why not?
All right. It's he also entering confirmed to Budgie. And you guys can just Google this. It's Budgie Smuggler. It's a,
Sounds kind of funny, but it's what?
you know,
I
What is
never
it?
looked at the definition.
Oh, okay.
I never looked at the definition either.
It-
Can you say it in
yeah, it's a say, it's what
rated
they
G terms?
yes, it's what they refer to as the guys wandering around in a Speedo on the beach.
Oh, all right. I don't have a clear picture of that now.
Yeah.
And it ends with those crazy Aussies.
Yep, it's apparently commonly used in Australia. So some of the if you're wandering around in a Speedo, you might be called a budgie smuggler. So you think you're smuggling birds in there.
That's funny.
Okay. Well,
All right, we're getting off topic.
all right. We've got all that clear. See where our listener feedback took us today.
Yeah.
But anyway, so and that was all because of that review.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So going on to
Distro Fever, where we cover the latest on distro releases and news.
That's right. Distro fever. So Tony, what do you?
well, our favorite one just was released this morning, Makalulu.
Are you playing with me?
Uh,
That's Makulu. Makalulu. It will forever have an A in there for you. That's right. I saw that. And it's a distribution release. Actually, what kind of got me excited here was the release, and it's not production yet, but it's development. It's actually the first beta of FreeBSD 10.3. So that was released yesterday. So I'm kind of excited about that. And the other thing that got me going was, I believe it was way down the list, but it was another BSD release. I think it was a firewall release. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but
Let me scroll through.
no, you're not going to see
See,
that.
there's
unless you-
open elect had a release.
Yeah, they did. No, this is well before that. It was the let me just get down there. It's called Open Sense.
Oh yeah, you know, I
Open
heard somebody
Sense.
else using it the other day, and it's based on PF Sense.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Yep. So they released 16.1. So, but and it got a little bit of publicity. I was well, you know, it always kind of catches my eye.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't
Oh, I
sure
see.
why they forked it. I remember trying to read on that, and I didn't really get what they didn't agree with that made them go, hey, let's, break away from PF Sense.
no, but I laughed at the name,
Yeah.
Crafty Coyote.
Although I can see that their the web UI is updated a bit compared to PF Sense.
Mhm.
It just looks prettier.
Well, and that's something, the default PF Sense web UI can be changed. It's built in. They actually have several themes in there that look nicer. But a lot of people, even myself, I'm a traditionalist, so I've been using it for so long with that same ugly interface. I'm just used to the way it looks. But they actually have some really nice. It is built right in, and it's themable. There's at the very on the setup page, there's an option to change the theme on it.
I've seen different color options, but
There's
not,
actually theme options.
hmm.
I don't know
That's
when
cool.
they added it in, but I've never really played much with it. But I know it makes it a lot prettier.
Yeah.
And of course, but yeah, I'm not sure what made them. I have to look into that. I'm kind of curious. He's like, it's got to do something PF Sense doesn't, and maybe I should look at that.
Right.
Well, one other thing too, just one interesting stat regarding the distros that have been released since our last the last episode we talked about them. There have been, and these are production ones, not development ones, but there have been 6 Debian-based releases or releases based on Debian, 3 based on Ubuntu, which of course we know is also based on Debian. There was one based on Android, and also a single one on Red Hat, single one on Puppy, and also Gen 2 based one. And then there are 2 independents. OpenELEC is not based on any, according to the information I got from their site, and neither is. Let's see. There was another independent one that I want to say it was Zorin. And then also there was one Slackware based, and then of course the Open Sense was the BSD released one. So I just wanted to share that. I kind of went through just to kind of get a feel for that. So.
Yeah.
So it's Debian and Debian derivatives rule the day.
Yep.
All right. You know, one thing I'm looking at what's a difference is that it says that FreeBSD is based on PF Sense is based on the FreeBSD 6X range or version, where OpenSense is on the 10.2, FreeBSD 10.2. So it may be, I don't know whether it's just not updated on for the PF Sense, what version it's
Yeah,
running.
PF Sense is based on the newer version of BSD.
Okay.
Maybe the site's not updated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's whether the site's not updated with the current. All right. Yeah, other than that, I didn't really see anything jump out at me that's too terribly interesting or not.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we're going to go on to the
Tech news and views.
So what news did you guys find for this week?
News of interest?
I got a bunch. Want me to start?
Sure.
All right. So I was, and we talked about this a while ago. We haven't visited in a while. The Linux swear count in the kernel.
Oh, no.
Yeah, crap.
No, Dad.
Yeah, no damn. In the latest kernel releases in the 4 series, it looks like crap has come up a little bit more. All the other ones are holding steady. Yeah, we haven't seen an increase in really any of the other ones except for. I was just kind of laughing reading it. It's funny when you look at it through history. If you type in Linux kernel swear, they built a chart, and it's got the ups and downs. Like apparently someone fixed a bunch of stuff, so there's less swearing in it.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so there's like parts where it goes really down, probably when they fixed a module. That was just a side note that was kind of funny. But there's an open source framework that I really want to take a look at called the Employee Phishing Framework. And it's you can get it at getgofish.com. And what this is, it's an open source phishing tool that you can use to test against your employees to see if they're going to click that email and going to do anything like that.
Oh,
It's a really good concept because that way you're kind of, it's an easy way, instead of hiring an external company, you can start internally auditing and say, will my users open this email? Will they give out their Bank of America password? Things like that.
yes, they will.
Yes, working in the service industry, I can tell you that they all do, pretty regular basis. But it's a nice system. It's open source. It's free. And apparently, there's been a lot of commits and a lot of development on it, and a lot of interest in it. People developing it as a product because it's starting to explore the human aspect of security, which is often a flaw when you want to target a company. The humans will click on things, especially the users will click on everything. So definitely a pretty cool thing. Google open source Seesaw. And I think you had posted about that on, was it you posted on Google Plus?
Yes, I did.
Seesaw?
Seesaw is the load balancing system that helps Google run. Now, this is a good trend, and I have another article related to this of the Open Compute project run by Facebook. All these companies are really digging in on open sourcing hardware and some of the software that runs their enterprise level work. Because obviously, Google and Facebook have demands because of their absolute size that are very different than other companies. But as companies grow, they're going to hit the wall and go, how do we handle 100 million users, 200 million users? Facebook's doing 1.3 billion users right now, and Google's doing an incredible number of queries per second. So obviously, they've had to develop technology very much outside the norm. They're also looking away from the closed source solutions. And with the Open Compute Initiative, with Facebook sharing a lot of this information, a few other companies, Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, Bank of America.
Goldman Sachs?
Yes, Apple have all, and Rackspace have all joined the open. They're opening up how they run their networks internally, and they're doing open source hardware.
Oh, they're okay.
Yeah, they're all
So
signing
they're not
on.
necessarily giving back to the community.
Well, they
because-
kind of are. They're signing on and they're giving back.
Well, you remember, I think it was after you had joined the show, and it may have been before, but anyway, there was a programmer from Goldman, and he had reported how they had just appropriated open source software, stripped off the stuff, and just used it without
not only
not in
licensing.
accordance with the license.
Right.
So that's why I'm very skeptical when their name is mentioned. I'm very skeptical.
I won't lie, I'm skeptical too, but at least we're seeing more of it out here. And what they're kind of doing is they're seeing companies that are hugely successful, like Google and Facebook, giving away what would normally be the secret sauce that runs their business. And they're like, no, our data is a secret sauce. How we manage data, how we do it, is all open source. So that's I think it's a good trend, it's a good concept. I like that. I like to see that trend. I mean, you look at Elon Musk, and he's giving away all the patents royalty free. So if you want to license how to build a Tesla, all the technology goes into it. He's giving away all that stuff. He's open sourcing all of his, I think he already has open source all of his SpaceX research as well to rocket engines. And he wants anyone. He says, if there's more people building rockets, that's better. And so, and he's also at the same time slapping the face to Mr. Jeff Bezos with his, is it Blue Initiative? He has a competing space company.
Blue Feather or something, right?
Something blue. But Jeff Bezos has actually a couple times tried suing Elon to stop him from doing what he's doing because he claims patents on different technologies.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. He's trolling him, trying to stop him from doing it. And Elon's like, no, we're giving it all away. Everyone can use this because we want to see the world be a better place. And it kind of puts Jeff Bezos in not a good light.
Right. Tesla is also open sourcing their battery technology too.
Yep.
Which that will help all sorts of industries, not just cars.
They've done so much. I read his book, and it was a great read. And it's really interesting, his ethos. I mean, he really wants to just make the world a better place. It's not about anything. He runs his companies on the constant verge of bankruptcy because all he does is dump money into R&D, like perpetually. So kind of a nice thing to see. company came out, and I don't know if it's an advertising ploy, but it's at least something nice for the open source community in the short term. Logodust.com does open source logos for free. They have a whole bunch of logos, and if you have an open source project and you're looking for a logo, go there. I think they have some paid services, like if you want to buy logos, so okay, maybe it's a freemium, but whatever, you can get some free logos for your open source project, which can be tricky and can be costly.
Right.
We're rebranding my company, and having new logos done up is not, if you want them done nice, they're not cheap.
Mhm.
So,
No, if you want them to look good, remember our original one?
yeah.
It was bad.
Not to get too political, but there was a little political event here in America that we recall as the Iowa caucus. And caucus,
That kind of-
call it whatever you want. Like a lot of other words I'd like to describe, but where this is going is Microsoft got involved. And now there's a paper process, of course, and I'm not confident at all that I've heard any rational ideas for electronic voting, but Microsoft donated their time and put an app together to help with reporting on both sides of the fence, Republicans and Democrats, and help them organize a lot of data and compile the data. Now that's really cool, but they already found some errors in the reporting, and Microsoft, unfortunately, they had given 1.9 million to the Dems and 576,000 to the Republicans. So you have a company who's buying lobby money
Exactly.
and writing closed source software to help make election decisions and reporting. This is actually a call on both sides of the fence because of some errors that were found in this, that they really would like to see an open source auditable thing, especially anything related to election. Even if it's just compiling statistics, we'd like to see a very auditable track flow, and of course not sponsored by a company that's donating money and lobbying at the same time.
To one of the parts.
So that's
Well,
a pretty-
they're donating to both.
They're
but-
donating both, but if you donate one to the other, if you're not doing 100% even, then you've got skin in the game. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be on any lobbies. So yeah, that was that. This is interesting, but I don't know where we're going to come up with a
Oh,
solution
wait,
to that.
companies are people too.
That's right.
For people outside the U.S. who are listening, back in the previous presidential election, I think Mitt Romney, he was the Republican nominee,
Yes.
and he was defending this Supreme Court ruling, Citizens United, and he was trying to tell people that companies are people too.
And the basis for the software actually came because of the Romney campaign. If you recall, during that caucus, they had wrongly announced, I can't remember the competing guy, Santorum, the winner, and it was Romney. And they had it reversed. It took them 4 days of sorting through the data, 4 or 5 days before they announced the proper winner. And that's one of the problems,
Yeah.
is so much of this is a paper process with so there's a lot of humans involved, which of course does lead to a lot of error when you're tallying things up. We don't count things well, and we
Oh, we only have 10 fingers. What do you
we
expect?
can't even get 3 letters right occasionally.
Yeah,
FAA,
that's right.
FCC. So
Hey, but we're working on it.
we're working on it.
Right.
There's a fun little tool I found. The website is PINGUYOS.com. And it's a builder app. So you can take your existing install of Ubuntu and turn it into a bootable flash drive. So it builds it on the
Oh,
fly,
wow, that
and it
is
supports UEFI. So you can work it on different machines. So I can take, I have everything installed how I want it and whatnot. And I can take it, install it, and boom.
Sweet.
So pretty cool.
Yeah. I think I remember hearing something about that a while ago, PingIOS. But
Oh, PingIOS.
yeah, but I don't
That was a
remember.
Linux distro too, I think.
Yeah. I forgot that they had that tool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool tool that works on Ubuntu, all open source. The developer it was kind of funny because a lot of people, he posted on Reddit and he goes, I thought there'd be more demand for this. And it was funny because he got kind of flamed a little bit going, you're on SourceForge, and that's the problem. All of our ad blockers block SourceForge, so that's why you're not getting it. They said, throw it up on GitHub, you'll get a lot more popularity.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
There was a interesting, the neutrino exploit kit. So they got, who our Linux people are. So the neutrino exploit kit is an exploit malware, malvertising kit, and they were using OS fingerprinting and to avoid security researchers. They looked for anyone running Linux, like when they were doing the browser searches, and never displayed ads to the Linux people with any type of bad stuff in there because they didn't realize most security researchers use Linux. So I thought it was kind of a clever use of.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
So I thought that
Oh,
was
wait,
kind of funny.
did they check to see if it's Ubuntu?
Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding.
And we learned that the implementation on the UEFI BIOS is wrong by an article at Phronix that posted. Apparently, if you do an RM-RF and slash like delete everything on your hard drive, it shouldn't do this, but can do this. It'll erase part of the UEFI BIOS and make your motherboard bricked.
Really?
Yes, this has been a problem where it bricks some machines. It's an improper implementation of the secure BIOS spec. But a lot of companies apparently have this insecure implementation. And basically, because Linux mounts everything as a file, it mounts the variables that run UEFI as a file. And then when you delete those, it'll actually write delete into the BIOS and delete the BIOS.
Oh, jeez.
So, and it's not supposed to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah, that is bad.
Yeah, and someone said, well, the kernel mounts it as read-only. They've got some a kernel update that fixes this problem.
But in order for this to happen, you have to take that action.
Yes.
And how frequently is that action taken?
Well, either you take the action yourself or you
somebody
download
sends you
a
an
malicious
email and
script.
says, hey, help this.
Yes.
This
Right.
will help you.
Yeah, if you run a malicious script, then somebody
Okay.
else, and at that point, it not only does it host your OS and your
It bricks.
stored files, it bricks your computer too.
So that's where a lot of people are talking is this highlights a really, like Tony said, a big security problem because someone gets root access, they can ruin the machine in the more literal sense.
Yeah.
So, and the last thing is there's a crisis going on apparently. I don't know how overblown it is over at GitHub. They want to go from being this flat org chart.com company to a traditional suit and tie.
Hierarchy.
Yeah, basically because they
well.
need to make some more revenues. They need to hire salespeople. And I think it was summed up with this quote: "The person who used to be my peer is now my manager."
Oh, that happened to me once.
Yeah.
And it can be a difficult thing,
Transition.
especially if you viewed yourself as better than they, or if
Right.
they're equal.
Yes.
And so that new manager have to kind of approach it in a
Yeah.
kind of delicately, more of a collaborative kind of thing.
The good news is the little troubles they're having is driving people to different competitors, which it is scary if you think of how much stuff is on GitHub. I mean, we have so many open source projects hosted on GitHub, a major amount of them hosted on there. So if anything were to happen to GitHub,
Aren't they backed up?
well, but there's a market. So yeah, when you're doing a push for GitHub, it's usually a copy on your computer in there. But think about it's such a collaboration point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but then if something happened, it all decentralized immediately. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's all over the place.
You'd have a big disruption if there's a code change that needs to be made for security. You could have a lot of issues. So I like that it's causing some diversity in some other startups. So, oh, that's it for the news. So,
Wow. Okay, that covered my news too. No. I've got a couple things, unless Tony, you want to go?
No, you go ahead, Mary.
All right. Well, this is something I posted actually up to my Google Plus stream this week, and I got this out of Bloomberg because I kind of go to those financial websites during the week. Appalachian miners are learning to code. Now, in the United States, over the last decade or so, the coal industry has really suffered a pretty significant downturn, and of course. Places like Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, that area where a lot of coal mining is done, there are a lot of people who are out of work or are kind of clinging to jobs that may end up going away. So what they've done in Eastern Kentucky is they've created through, I think there was some funding provided by either the government or some other entity to help them get started, but they're providing an environment here. It's called BitSource, and what it is, it's a startup that's out there to help these industry veterans from the coal industry learn to code. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and they've got about 1,000 that have responded to its ads across Appalachia who are interested in making that transition. And one of the people who has done it, he has talked to his son to make sure that his son ends up not going into coal like he did, his father and his grandfather. He's steering him out of coal, which I don't think there's going to be much of an industry anyway by the time that kid gets to adulthood. So I thought that was a very interesting article, and just kind of shows the future of a lot of work in this country, especially that kind of work.
Right.
Another one that kind of caught my eye is Google wants to take Apple-like control over Nexus devices. There's really no surprise. I mean, I think Microsoft would like to do that, but it kind of got into the game way too late. And I think it's trying to do that over the PCs where it's that Windows 10, I gotta say, that Windows 10 upgrade notice is getting just more insistent, and I'm gonna go in there and disable it.
Yeah, there's a, I'll send you the link. There's a tool you can download that a guy wrote. It's a really cool tool that just is for that.
Yeah,
Right.
because I think it's supported for what, another 4 years?
Until 2020.
Yeah, and I figure by the time it hits 2020, that computer, that reminds me of another thing I did. I ordered 8 more gigs of RAM so that my date computer now will have 16 gigs of RAM in it. So it'll be a
Hey.
screaming machine.
Yeah.
'Cause-
The other thing with that tool is that it'll work right now,
Mhm.
but then whenever the next patch version comes out or patch Tuesday or whatever, you might have to update your tool again and rerun it to stop that block. Because
Oh, okay.
that's what Microsoft's been. They'll have one way to do it now, and then people will figure out how to block it, and then they'll go through and change it, and then so Microsoft will continue to bug you
Mhm.
because their plan is to get everybody in Windows 10.
So
So-
they can index your hard drive.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things like that, but I think they're also paranoid about having like right now. There's so many Windows XP machines still out there.
Oh,
That's not
speaking of that,
supported.
where was I? I was at a doctor's office and they're running it. I think it's only internal, but they've got apps that are dependent on Windows XP.
Yes. We have one.
I
that's-
noticed that. I thought,
They have some exemptions in HIPAA as long as the machines are offline.
Yeah.
Most of the MRI machines are running on Windows XP, and apparently because
that's what I had a stress test done, and they were taking pictures of my heart, and that's exactly where I saw it.
Yeah.
they have some exemptions in there. Apparently, if I understand it, it's 2 problems. It's not just an update issue. They certified that computer as health.
Oh, I had
Related?
a heart, by the way, just so if
Oh,
there was any
You had
doubt.
one. Oh. That's good to know, Mary.
If they update, they have to spend a lot of money recertifying the computer again. So once it's been
Oh, okay.
certified, because it doesn't get any, if I'm not mistaken, it's offline and does not even get updates. It has to be separate for some of the machines. I remember there was an article I read about that I found kind of
Yeah.
interesting, that they
Yeah.
have these exemptions.
Okay.
So one of my clients has an eyeball machine, as I call it. It's really cool. I get to play with it because it looks inside your eyes, but it runs on Windows XP too.
Yeah.
But it's
I've seen one of those
Yeah,
too.
I
Yeah.
had something like that done to my eyes. Actually, you get to a certain age, and I'm going to make this announcement, and then we'll move on. You kind of start to fall apart. I'm just telling you. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Right.
But anyway, just circling back to the topic though. But yeah, so I posted that out on Google Plus because I just thought, my Nexus. I'm very happy with my Project 5 phone. That Nexus 5X. Very happy with it.
That's actually why Google's getting into that. So they want Apple-like control. It's really weird what they're doing. They're still gonna let companies like Huawei produce phones, but they're the success of the phones that were produced under the Google direction are so good compared to the experience people have like on some of the Samsungs and HTCs because of the layers of crap they put on top of them that takes away from user experience. So Google's seen the demand and success that they're going, we should probably do more of this because users really like it when people don't crud it up. Because Google's request is,
well, they
here's-
do crud it up, but it's with Google stuff.
Right.
yeah, because it's really such an aggravating thing to deal with the way HTC's, that Sense overlay that they have is just not the same user experience you get on here, and it's much cleaner. That's kind of why they call it Apple-like control, but it's,
And I got to tell you, KDE Connect, I've got it installed on here, and my desktop at home runs KDE, of course. So that app, it just gets better and better. I cannot tell you. It's just so impressive.
That's
I was
awesome.
moving files so easily, and there's that one on the right-click menu in Dolphin. There's just that little option to copy via KDE Connect. Oh my gosh, it's just. Well, anyway, so
Yeah, very
the
nice.
other.
I like that too, and I use an application similar where it's not direct OS accessing my phone, but it's a plugin that Tom told me about.
Push
It's,
Bullet?
Yeah, Push Bullet.
Push bullet.
Yeah, and what it does is it's you have to have Chrome running in your desktop.
You have to be promoting the Second Amendment? Just kidding. All right.
But
That's my political joke for today.
what it does is whenever I get an alert on my phone, then it pops up on my on my desktop.
Yep.
And then I can click on it, and like if it's an alert to a website,
Mhm.
I click on it and it brings me right to that page that the alert was about, like if it's a Facebook update. or something.
Does it also give you like battery life and all that too?
I don't know, maybe. But
Maybe it'll
the
be
other
the
thing
next
is you
one.
can SMS straight from your computer.
Okay.
It goes across the internet to the app that's running on your phone, and then your phone sends it out. So
Okay.
your phone still needs to have
Impressive.
cell signal.
Yeah. Oh, I
But-
see.
At least in my case, your guys probably because you have
Google Fi.
Google
yeah.
Fi, you wouldn't need to have cell signal. But in the average person's cell phone, you still need that. But you can search through your contacts. You can search through previous SMS messages.
Oh,
It's pretty nice.
you know, something else I forgot to mention. I went over to Windsor, Ontario for supper. We go Friday. Took my phone with me. I get over into Canada and my phone says, "Welcome to Canada." And then of course, because I was out of the US technically, well, physically, the whole works.
Right.
And by the way, the beer over there is cheap, cheap, cheap. The beer that I normally, it cost me like $4 a bottle. I buy this really high-powered beer.
Mhm.
Oh my God, it was like $1.60.
Wow.
There's a lot of government fees.
We
in
bought a
beer.
case of
We'll just throw
beer.
it out there.
Yeah, so when we went back over the border, the guy was asking, they were just giving us, well, he wasn't giving us too much of a hard time, but we told him what we'd done, and he said, "Oh yeah, we have a case of beer in the trunk." They didn't search us. But anyway, I wanted to mention the whole thing, and then I was charged 1 cent for the couple hours I was over in
Oh.
Windsor for the international aspect of it.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I didn't do much on it, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, they're very reasonable
Mhm.
with that. I had the same thing because I was just when I got my bill, just for the I was going, hey, look at my Google bill for Google Fi. There's a 4 cents of charge because I was I was at the rent cent, so it kept jumping over the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it said welcome to Canada a couple times and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. But it's so minimal billing. It's not even. And this was a problem previously with Verizon of charging me like $1.50 for connecting.
Yeah, and for those of you who are not familiar, RenCen is just short for Renaissance Center, and it's a really large skyscraper that's right on the Detroit River, which is right across from Windsor, Ontario. I remember when I worked down there, I would go roaming, well, not me,
Yeah.
but my phone would go on roaming mode
Yes.
half the time. I did roam the hallways a few times, but anyway, the other thing, I was just going to finish up my news. The other thing, this sort of qualifies for KDE Corner, so Tony, I don't know, I can hold off on it if you want.
No, you go ahead.
All right, this is the announcement of KDE Neon. And the Neon project used to be the nightly builds of the latest KDE applications and frameworks and all that. So what they're doing now is they're putting it out there as kind of almost its own distro. It's still going to be based on Ubuntu, but it offers the latest, greatest KDE software on a Ubuntu base. And it's Jonathan Bedell is involved in it. You recall from last year there was a bit of a kerfluffle and some conflict there, and he stepped down as the lead on the Ubuntu project, and so now he's involved with this. And I'm going to go and give it a try, I think, on one of my computers sometime soon. I'll report on it. Maybe I'll do a distro. Well, I won't do a distro review. I'll just do a quickie on it. So, but that I just want to mention that KDE Neon.
All right.
Remember, I used to. I had put that repository on my system a couple years ago, and I would boot into it just to check and see how things are going.
Yeah.
And I remember one time my system got really hot. It's like they didn't have some temperature control thing going on it. So, but anyway, it sounds like it's really polished now.
All right.
All right, that's my stuff.
Cool. I had a few articles I found. One is Google Project Zero reveals update flaws in malware bytes.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they've already gone through and fixed those flaws. But what was happening is malware bytes does updates over HTTP, and that's the insecure internet protocol.
Yeah.
And so it's possible to do a man-in-the-middle attack, and then whenever it requests for an update, somebody can send you, say, oh yeah, I'm the update server, and send you back some malware. And malware bytes wouldn't know either way. So that is, that's something that they need to run over HTTPS. And with the new secure HTTPS CA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it escaped my name. What is it called?
Certificate authority?
What's the
The Let's
free-
Encrypt?
Yeah, Let's Encrypt.
Oh.
With Let's Encrypt being free to be able to run it across, there's no excuse not to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well,
other than
I
laziness or not.
was just going to say, other than procrastination or laziness.
Exactly. So, I'm wrong. I don't think they have fixed it yet.
Well, they have it.
So they found out Google Zero or what is it, Project Zero, found out about it in November and gave them 90 days, and Malwarebytes still has not fixed it.
Now, why don't you just share for a moment what Malbytes does?
Malwarebytes is
Malwarebytes.
Yeah, it's a anti-malware program. So it's interesting that an anti-malware program is possible to deploy malware to your
I knew that. I just wanted to do that for the joke.
and it's actually a pretty
Yeah.
good one. I've used it quite a few times.
I've
where
never used it.
It'll scan your
For
computer
that reason.
and clean it up. So it's interesting. You know, it's not
Yeah,
it's not a
we-
bad program, but
No, we use it every day to clean up computers at the office because it works. You know, all the customers are bringing everything infected, so.
Yeah. All right. Now the other article I found was mysterious spike in WordPress hacks silently delivers ransomware to visitors. So basically, what it is that there is some plugins and insecure plugins in WordPress that if you don't update them right, then somebody can hack into your WordPress and replace web pages and replace. And
Mhm.
the thing is that it's not that it replaces it; it adds headers to the web pages. So when you go there from, like, if you go straight to the website, you don't see any difference. It looks fine. But whenever it sees a certain referral code come in that you're linking through from Google
Mhm.
or from
It serves it up.
then it redirects you to a spyware place, or and then it serves up the malware.
I've had to remove that from a few WordPress sites. We just had a fairly large local company. Their people were basically asleep at the wheel and didn't do the WordPress updates, who was updating their site, and then they got hacked. And that started happening where they had ads all over their website.
Yeah,
And some were very not safe for work.
right.
And but the other company had trouble figuring out how to get it out other than deleting the site. They didn't have a backup, so I had to go in and clean it. The nice thing is there's some scripts that I put together to clean. It's not too hard to do. My kind of joke was they were, and I think this is when I posted, you guys were laughing, the script kiddie joke. That's what they had done. They'd used Windows, so all I had to do was search for everywhere that they
Oh,
used.
yes. I thought that was
really?
very funny.
I did a search whenever they use a Windows character term with the extra character
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
So I searched for all those and it highlighted all the files immediately and deleted it. So they were using Windows as a dropper to use it. So
Oh, wow. You know what? We had a similar
Script
attack
kiddie.
on our website years ago, 4 years ago.
It wasn't last
And-
night, was it?
No. But what it is if you're looking through the code like human eye, you don't see it because it's all in base 64. So I found a set script that would search for base 64 and strip all that out. And because I have SSH access to the shared hosting I have, I was able to run that script in a loop over across all my all WordPress sites. There's like 20 sites on my account. And I was able to run it through all of them and clean them all at once.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the same thing because most of the hosting, if it's on my servers, of course, I have SSH access. But I was able to get SSH access, and that's what allowed me to clean it up. If not, I didn't really have an easy solution for them.
Right.
I mean, trying to search your WordPress files through a web interface isn't going to be time effective.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, yeah, it would be crazy to do it through the web interface. It's impossible. So that's what I went through, and what I did, I posted the script and everything on my website on beamshosting.com. It's beamshosting.com/security. If you try to go to it right now at the moment, it's broken. I'm about to fix it.
So we're gonna give you the site, but don't go there now.
Well, yeah, give me about 5 minutes and it'll be fixed.
Okay.
Actually, listen.
Meanwhile, just talk quietly amongst yourselves.
Right.
If you're listening to the edited version of this, it's fixed.
Exactly.
That's right, the magic of the internet.
Magic of the internet.
All right,
Yeah, so and that's the articles I found.
cool.
I did have one more I skipped. Collab is really getting closer to, they're working with the LibreOffice people, and they're going to make an open source competitor for the Google Office suite for the online document sharing. They're making an entire web-enabled collaboration suite.
And they're doing this, why? I mean, just for the sake of competing to force Google to be better, or are there some missing features?
Well, Google's a hard one to compete with because Microsoft's playing catch up with them with their system. And I'm working on implementation with a guy who, we tried both suites, and Microsoft just does not have the finite control. Google actually has the ability to control permission levels in Excel, like essentially the Excel spreadsheet.
Wow.
You can use fine-grained permissions shared with every employee in the building, and we have it broke down to groups and control the permissions of each cell. So employees can enter their hours, and then managers are allowed to sign off on their hours, and then the executives can actually review everything and see who did it, do tracking.
Nice.
But it'd be kind of cool if there was an open source alternative for that, because Google went down for about only 10 minutes the other day, which was, of course, the internet went in an uproar, Twitter went nuts.
I missed it.
It was only their Google Docs that went down.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because I don't really use it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was a really brief outage, but it's kind of scary because all of your documents are then tied up with their cloud system. And this goes for any cloud server. You know, if it's there, it's just someone else's computer, so they're tied up into, so if they go down, oh shit, there's all my stuff. So.
Well, see, and that's the big weakness in cloud-based
Yes.
computing. And that's why I like Dropbox, because my stuff is on my system
Right.
and I can work with it. And even if the cloud goes away for a while, later it'll sync up and it'll.
And all this is looking at, so he's like, I run an own cloud server at my office, so I handle all my data that way. So you combine Colab on an own cloud server, and then with the document management from LibreOffice, and I have my own copies of everything on my server. So if I want to host it out, I don't need any third party. So if any third party has a problem, you know, it's a nice solution. I think we kind of need that because there are some security risks. Of course, because you're putting it in the hands of Google. What if Google screws up?
Well, you know, what they really should do is they should have a local client that's browser-based and maybe use some caching so that you've got the last hour's worth or something to that effect.
There is some of that you can do with Google Docs. There is a cached mode for it, but it's not. When you used to have the Google Gears project, they used to have it so you could locally duplicate everything. They got rid of Gears, and they have their own caching, but it's not as clear. And there's been a couple of instances where people have actually just gone offline while they're entering data and had some problems. And the whole story behind that was pretty cool. For a gaming company that it happened to, had lost several thousand subscribers off a mailing list they were doing at a trade show because of the internet was going in and out, and it pulled the wrong synced copy and deleted it. And they're like, we spent all of our money for this startup game. And the good news is the story got picked up by Reddit and a couple other news sites, and they kept reposting it. And a bunch of people subscribed to their game because of the attention they got for it. So it wasn't all bad.
Oh, yeah, so there's a silver lining in that cloud. Huh.
But we're actually putting in an own cloud solution for one of my graphics clients. So they just exceed the Dropbox. They have so many graphics at the rate they're doing it. So we're putting an own cloud server in their office to synchronize with all their field guys. And they just said, we're pulling terabytes now, and it's going to get more and more expensive with Dropbox. They're hitting a wall. Well, it's not really a wall. It's just more money.
Yeah.
So he's like, at some point I can just buy my server, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cheap to do. So.
Yeah, and I read, and I don't know if we talked about this on the last episode, but I read that there was some cloud storage company that's closing, I think in June. I believe that they've already contacted customers and they've got some options available. I think it's a company that was owned by Barracuda. And I apologize for not really having the details, but I wasn't expecting to talk about it.
Yeah, but it's something that can happen, you know, if Dropbox goes, hey, you know, from competition, we can't sustain this anymore. Well, you have all your built infrastructure around a cloud-based company that you don't have any control over. So that's that's always a big security risk. I mean, it's just with any of them, there's risks that come with it. But if you're hosting on Microsoft servers or that, when you don't own your own physical hardware or have an easy way to duplicate it, you've got a problem.
Yep.
Or a potential risk.
Definitely. All right. So what we got next, Tony?
I'm looking up, I think it was Nirvanix. Is that what it is? It says
It might be.
Nirvanix is closing its doors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cloud storage vendor closes.
Yeah, what was the date?
I'm still laughing because Walmart's getting into that business. They're doing it to compete with Amazon. I thought that was hilarious.
I saw that.
We can't beat them in prices, but we're going to beat them in web services.
Yeah, I don't think I'd store my stuff on a Walmart cloud.
Yeah, come on. You don't want to use the Walmart cloud server?
Right.
This reminds me of Microsoft getting into, well, you know, they're kind of Johnny-come-lately to the phone thing, and you know, they started too far behind, and
No, that's why they bought Skype and they're, consolidating and changing things. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I think that's all I had. We're going on to music?
Yeah.
All right.
We've been talking for a while, so.
Right.
The outgoing music for this week's show.
Right. And Tom, you sent this over to us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I had a good laugh, Tom.
That was funny.
Here comes another bubble. So let's turn up my sound.
That's not part of the song.
No, it's not. Actually, across the screen, it's showing all the green lights.
On a roll, MIT moved to Palo Alto, opportunity now. Might have had the perfect plan, took the job at Webland, traded in my 20s for a worthless pile of tech stock. Suffered through the market crash, lost the giant water cash, paint slips, burger flips, would you like some fries? Happy days are here again, Larry Page, circuit grin, time to run a business bus so I can be like those guys. Here comes another bubble. It's a monster rally all around the valley. Christian needs a buzzword, then a second and a third. Taking these two industries to revolutionize. Find yourself an engineer, feed him pizza, buy a beer. Give him just a fraction of the pie. Need a good domain name, must be cheap, can't be lame. Something cool like Flickr, Vivo, Wiki, Mahalo, Vivo. Telephone without the G, deep up with the triple G. Make your elevator pitch.
You guys just keep rolling because the entire 2 hours? I turned the mics down, so good.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to ask. I don't know if you said you broke it into 2. I didn't know if you actually broke it into 2 or.
No, usually we leave it running, and then we take like a 2-minute break, even though it's still running, and then I do the edit when we do the previous show. All right. So that's pretty good. And
The final version of the show will have that song in its entirety, high quality version.
Yeah, high quality.
Very funny, Tom.
Not through my tin laptop speakers.
I wasn't going to say anything.
It's all right. All right, so we've come to the end of the show. This was episode 179.
New digs.
New Dick, that's right. Thanks again to the guys over at Podcast. Thanks, Dave. Or Podcast Detroit.
Yes.
No worries.
Huh?
No worries. You get the first time, new dig jitters out of the way and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're used to it.
I know where all the buttons are now.
Yeah.
That's right. And this is Tony Bemis.
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
See you next time.
We still, because we're sitting in different places, we still go in the same order.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have to fix the lower thirds because it has our names in order.
So do you want me to, I can break the file right now so that you'll get 2 files instead of just
That
the
would be
one.
good.
Sure. Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter. It's not
I
hard for
broke
me
the
to
seal earlier.
to-
so I'm gonna-
Right, I got to run to the bathroom too. So, Mary, why don't you get ready?
I will.